The first thing you need to know about the Hinterkaifeck farm is that it was the kind of place where silence didn't just settle, it lingered. You could almost feel it watching you. The second thing? That farm wasn't right. Everyone in the village knew it, though they rarely said it out loud. And by the time the Gruber family realized it, it was far too late. Andreas Gruber wasn't a likable man. Rough, paranoid, and mean in the way that people whispered about but never confronted. His wife, Cecilia, wasn't much better. Their adult daughter, Victoria, tried to keep the house from falling apart while raising her 2 children, but there was a sadness in her eyes that no one could miss. And then there were the kids, little Cecilia and Joseph, too young to know what kind of place they were trapped in. But the farm, it had secrets, and not the kind you could bury. A few days before the murders, Andreas started telling anyone who'd listen that something strange was happening. Unfamiliar footprints had appeared in the snow, leading up to the farmhouse, but none were leading away. At first, he blamed it on a drifter or one of the neighbors. Then, there were the noises in the attic. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, pacing back and forth over their heads at night. Andreas searched the house, but he found nothing. The family dog, a nervous creature to begin with, started barking at shadows. The cattle grew restless. Victoria swore she heard whispering in the dark when there was no one else around. And that was before the newspapers began appearing, ones they'd never bought or subscribed to, folded neatly on the kitchen table. Still, life went on. It had to. Until March 31st, 1922. The day started like any other. The rooster crowing, the chill of early spring, Andreas grumbling about chores. But by that evening, the Gruber family would be gone. All of them. The neighbors were the first to notice. The farmhouse, usually bustling with activity, was eerily quiet. The chimney, which should have been puffing smoke, was cold. Days passed, and no one saw the family. Finally, a search party gathered. What they found inside the barn was enough to make even the strongest among them turn pale. Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and little Cecilia were there, crumpled and lifeless, their skulls smashed in. The weapon? A pickaxe, abandoned but bloodied. Joseph, just a toddler, was found in his crib, and the maid, who had arrived the very day of the murders, lay in her quarters. But here's the thing, the bodies weren't fresh. Whoever had done this had stayed. Someone had tended to the cattle, eaten the food, and even lit the fireplace, while 6 corpses lay cold just feet away. The investigation spiraled into chaos. Everyone in the village became a suspect. Was it a jealous lover? A vengeful neighbor? Even the supernatural wasn't off the table. There were whispers of the farm being cursed, of ghostly apparitions that had been seen wandering the fields. The attic, when searched, yielded nothing. No sign of the footsteps that had haunted the Grubers in their final days. And then there was the letter, left on the kitchen table, written in a shaky, unfamiliar hand. They knew! The case went cold, though not for lack of trying. Even decades later, no one could explain what happened at Hinterkaifeck. Theories ranged from deranged killers to supernatural vengeance, but no one ever confessed. And now, nearly a century later, the land where the farmhouse once stood is barren. Locals say the air is heavy there, as if the ground itself remembers. Some claim to hear voices in the night, soft and pleading. Others say they've seen shadowy figures standing where the barn once stood, their faces lost to time, but their intent unmistakable. Whatever happened at Hinterkaifeck, one thing is clear: the past has a way of refusing to stay buried.